Yes,
Yeah, in
this weekend,
Chester.
yeah.
Is it?
Faces never change over the years. And when you look at that house, what do I think?
Yeah, of course, to protect everything. Yeah, you can imagine any better space from hairline,
Bing, bing.
glass, huge windows, and all that would be white. You want to see tapestry. 60, so this would be big, especially.
Why did another one not have it as it was?
He had a 60 here in 1811. He decided it looked a bit dry. But it was good.
So this, the artist who is sort of, was she doing a PhD?
Uniment of drawers.
1600年係中國嘅咩朝代？
And then the bed fell to pieces, so the 6 thought that would be nice. That would be more colored pattern, the colour would look nice on the wall. My person, he was talking about.
It's where you go and it's just
Breathtaking.
breathtaking.
Can't it?
But around the modern 1890 in the 1890s, because the gold rush was coming to an end, so they didn't finish it and put the dome on.
Oh no. Oh, but there's some sketches of where it was
I've
going to
got
be.
all the sketches. and stuff. It's like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
How old you are?
they're in a good degree. It's actually I've got a Facebook page, website, I've got a Facebook page, so some of it's on there as well.
Yeah. It's just a shame it's a dark house. It's ironic because it's full of glass.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know,
Well,
we're trying to
you
preserve.
protect the
This is it.
the
Centuries and centuries of no hanging windows is
Yeah.
just done for the tapestries, really.
Yeah.
But you know, anyway, good luck
Thank
with
you.
your
Nice to meet you.
little tour around.
That's a good one.
mean, you know, for example, the hangings in the servants' hall are not the original hangings.
Right,
Those are 17th century, but were only put there in the 18th century,
right.
when the 16th century hangings, going back, yeah, essentially right, they were in tatters. And so those replaced those hangings.
Okay.
And some pieces of those hangings are to be found on the staircase where you came up.
Right.
If you remember, you came up
Yes,
here, and there was a zigzag.
Yes, yeah.
Those pieces there, we think some of those probably
妈咪
came
掏橘
from
哈，
the original hangings in
掏
the
橘
servants'
哈。
hall.
Entrance hall.
Yes,
Okay.
but it's all, it's not, it's there for the afternoon. You know, it's very different.
But yeah, but it's the furnishings and the size of the windows upstairs. What's that with glass? What is glass in there?
Well, Beth set up her own glass company.
Oh,
Manufacturing glass.
for the windows?
Yes.
Wow.
Because glass was very expensive.
Okay, but glass.
I went to look before, long before then.
What are you thinking? What collections were?
Andy,
Oh, don't worry there.
when was glass invented? The windows.
No,
I thought back we were going, you know?
Start of the 10.
many years.
Have you been to before?
No.
Okay. There's another house called the Winfield Manor, in town, not far from here. And she's got one of the Winfield Historic Quarters. I had a look at it, so she kept it on.
All of these things are going through my mind, you know, you take so much for granted. Yeah. Oh, no, it isn't.
Yeah. The other end, facing south, a bit warmer, and also above the kitchen.
So that heat
Yeah, that's it coming up. Indeed.
Thank you.
Okay, cheers. Okay, bye.
咁簡單嘅佢住間房就
喺呢個1608年嘅時候。
係咩？
嗯。